it will have significance even further next week as we continue talking about the covering. This tallit is the type that the rabbis wear. It can be worn as a garment, not just a shrug around the shoulders. I opened it the other night and I got it out and put it on and was showing it off, and Sister Melissa said, I want that one. She liked it. When you put on the tallit, there's a way to do this. Brother Joe, grab hold of the edges and hold it above your head, up here on top.
Blessed Jesus.
Just hold it above your head. When this garment was put on, the first thing that they are required to do is to hold it above their head and spend a few seconds in silence as a sign of, I'm going to my prayer room. I may have picked the wrong person. Then they would pull the garment down over their head to where this atura, this band, would be about where their lips are. And they would say the blessing over this. I have it on the screen this morning in Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu Malik Alon, Asher Kitchanu B'mitzvotav, Vetzivanu Ahitatef Zitzi. This is the Hebrew blessing. In English, it means, blessed are you, God, ruler of the universe, who sanctified us with God's commandments and commanded us to wrap ourselves in tzitzit. This is the blessing they would say as they were donning this garment. At that point, then they would kiss both ends of this band as a symbol of that blessing, bringing it into their lives closely. Then they can close the cover, and they're now wrapped in their own prayer room.
Blessed Jesus.
Once they're wrapped in their prayer room, they would recite Psalms 104, verses 1 and 2. I don't believe I have it on the PowerPoint. Let me tell you. I haven't. I've got it listed there, but let me tell you what it says. Bless the Lord, O my soul. O Lord my God, thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty, who coverest thyself with light as with a garment, who stretchest out the heavens like a curtain. They would then gather. A lot of symbolism here, folks. They would then gather this garment. Help me out, Joe, with your hands here. There you go. If you can. They would gather that up so that all four of those tassels are in the front. And they would take this garment and bring it together. We'll cover you up here. And they would throw it over their shoulder for just a few seconds, symbolizing our death. Remember what I said about wrapping a man's head in this garment in death. Symbolizing the death of oneself and being raised in victory with Jesus Christ. With the garment back down in place, now they're ready for their prayers. Notice that. Turn sideways for me. Notice that when wrapped in a garment like that, you cannot tell who it is that's underneath there.
Amen.
It could be Jesus himself underneath that garment, and next week we'll talk about him wearing one of these as well. You don't know who's under there because there's nobody paying attention to who it is or what's underneath that garment now. There is nobody but you and God under here.
Amen.
This becomes the prayer closet, the place where you have put everything else aside. It's interesting to note that although this kind of garment disappeared from culture and tradition, and it's a new thing to many of us in the Christian world today, it is not a new tradition of covering oneself to pray. John Wesley's mother, Susanna Wesley, was known to have, according to her sons, covered her head with her apron and sitting at her dining room table when it was time to pray, signifying to those boys, leave Mama alone, because Mama's in her prayer closet. There it is here. Now, when they were finished with their prayers, this size of a garment was worn then as a garment. They would pull it back from their head. They had just been to church. Amen. The garment was then pulled up on their shoulders for something they could wear, and folded across the shoulders. They even make a nice little clip that clips the front of it together to hold it on so you don't have to constantly fight with it to keep it on there. Today's custom and tradition. Notice the way this garment is worn. Those 4 tzitzis, those 4 tassels, the reminders of God's commandments, His covenant, the 10 Commandments, and that the Lord is one. 2 of them are on the front corners of the body. 2 of them are on the back corners of the body. You are now completely covered all the way around by the reminder of what Jesus Christ has done for us. It gets deep. It gets deep. Think about this. In the wilderness, you can take it off. It was mobile, portable. As they moved, it could be taken down and put back up because it was a tent, basically. Now, I hadn't told you yet that the word talit literally means little tent. The tabernacle during this time was a tent. Moses was the leader of 2 million people. It doesn't take a brain scientist to figure out that 2 million people cannot fit inside an 18 by 45 place for worship. So these garments became their own little tabernacle, their little tents. It's interesting to me to learn that when they gathered at the tabernacle, the tent, the temple, to the north, south, east, and west were the tribes lined up in their sections. Each tribe was represented by its own colors. They wore garments of a certain color to show what tribe they were from. Their talit was in those colors. So that if you looked at a person wearing this garment in this time frame, you would have known what tribe they were from immediately. Their flags were made of that color. Their banners were made of that color. That's going to be significant here in just a moment. As they gathered around this temple, there were 3 tribes. To the north, I believe I'm right, 3 tribes to the south, 3 tribes to the west, but to the east were the largest of the tribes. There were twice as many people to the east of the temple as there were the other 3 sides. In Numbers 24 and 5, Balaam comes into place. The Spirit of the Lord was upon Balaam, moved upon Balaam. And as he looked down over the children of Israel, Balaam said, "Oh, how beautiful are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel." Watch this. It's because of the way they were lined up around the temple. He was seeing not just the children of God, but he was seeing the design, the outline in bright colors of the cross, the future of what was to come, the sacrifice that would be made in the future for these people. You see, it was instruction. It was the symbolic mind of God that caused them to dress the way they were dressed, to move the way they were moved, and to line up for worship the way they lined up.